Jackson in Georgia, a town of 4,000 people in the southern United States. A place where executions in the nearby prison are a way of life. In a few hours, one will take place by lethal injection. How do you feel about today's execution?
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the death penalty. I think people get what they deserve. My opinion, I think however he did, that's how he should be put to death.
The penalty fits the crime. If they do a felony or, like children, got anything to do with children or stuff like that, yes, death penalty is in order.
Last year, the state of Georgia broke the record for the most executions in the United States. Each time, anti-death penalty associations demonstrate for hours, trying to stop the execution.
I come down every time there's an execution to, have a presence here to say I don't think it's right, and the state shouldn't be taking the lives of anybody, no matter what the circumstances. And so I feel responsible that I need to be here and make a stand until it stops.
Since 1977, there have been 1,460 executions in the U.S. A large majority of those executed are blacks or Latinos, poor people in general, mostly men, but also women. The last woman executed was Kelly Gissendaner. She was the 55th woman to be put to death since the start of the 20th century.
46-year-old Kelly Renee Gissendaner is set to die at 7 p.m. by lethal injection. She was convicted of murder for the 1997 stabbing of her husband. Prosecutors say she plotted his death with her boyfriend.
Demonstrations to prevent her execution were organized. Her children did everything they could to save her life.
We want y'all to know that we are still fighting. Do not lose your faith. This is not over. There's a reason that we didn't get to see her today, and hopefully that's because we're going to see her again this weekend. So stay strong.
Even Pope Francis pled her case. But Kelly Gissendaner wasn't pardoned. Her final words were broadcast on TV and on the radio.
I am so sorry. That amazing man lost his life because of me. And if I could take it back, if this would change it, I would have done it a long time ago. But it's not. And I just hope they find peace. And I hope they find some happiness. God bless you.
On September 30th, 2015, at 12:21 a.m., Kelly Gissendaner was executed. She was 47 years old. In the United States, out of the 2,843 inmates on death row, 54 are women. They are incarcerated in 16 different states across the country. We were granted permission to interview 3 of them. Some have been on death row for over 15 years.
If I had done the crime, I would have accepted my fate. But because I know that I'm not guilty, it's hard.
Linda Carty, Shawna Forde, and Melissa Lucio have been charged with the most unspeakable crimes. Violent acts that resulted in death.
It claimed the life of a young Arivaca girl and her father.
Black, white, or Hispanic, they all have a troubled past in common, mixed with drugs, sexual abuse, and extreme violence.
If there are some women on death row, something was going on with them out there in the world that led them to do what they did.
These 3 prisoners are considered among the most dangerous in the country.
They shot the husband, they shot the wife, and they shot the 9-year-old daughter.
They live in solitary confinement. Contact with their fellow prisoners is forbidden. Their families denounce these terrible conditions.
She's in a cell all day long, 23 hours of the day. Tell me that is not enough punishment.
Lawyers fight day and night to delay their executions.
Oh, yeah, this is from the police. This is a police report.
Some are convinced of their innocence.
I believe that Shawna Forde was not present when these homicides occurred.
Botched trials, court-appointed lawyers, unscrupulous judges and prosecutors. The families believe that the deck was stacked against them.
If anybody that sat through that trial knows that my sister's trial was the circus, it was just awful.
The children are also affected. They must live with the stigma associated with their mother's crime.
People emailed me and said that my family should be extinct. They said that it was my fault.
Even when they are proven innocent, the nightmare continues.
They took my life. I mean, they didn't so much as even apologize.
This is the unknown world of women on death row. Houston, Texas. The city was the scene of a strange and atrocious crime. A child kidnapping and homicide that led to the arrest of Linda Carty. This 43-year-old woman lived in a poor neighborhood known for drug trafficking. Her neighbors, Joanna Rodriguez and Raimundo Cabrera, had just moved to the United States from Mexico. They just had a baby 2 days earlier. Linda Carty is believed to have devised the plot to steal their baby. On May 16, 2001, in the middle of the night, the couple's home was stormed by 3 armed men. The young parents were gagged and beaten. The men searched the house from top to bottom. Linda Carty had made them believe that a large amount of drugs were in the couple's home. In exchange, they had to deliver the mother and the newborn. 48 hours later, Joanna Rodriguez was found dead in the trunk of a car. The infant was safe and sound. The car belonged to Linda Carty. In her hotel room, baby items were found. She had even made her neighbors believe she was pregnant. Yet, she denied everything to the police.
Linda, have you told anyone that you'll be getting a baby in several days? Have you told anyone that?
I didn't tell anybody I'm getting a baby in several days.
You haven't told anybody that around the apartment complex?
No, I said I should be having a baby. I didn't say I'm getting a baby like I'm buying a baby or stealing a baby. That's not what I told anybody. I can have a baby if I want to have a baby. It takes a little bit of time, big deal. Man. I don't even know these people from Adam. Now I'm getting saddled. Everybody's trying to put the murder on me because the body was in my car. Huh? I loaned the car to this guy. The guy used me. It's just pure and simple. I got used.
The evidence was overwhelming. Linda Carty was sentenced to death for kidnapping and murder. In Texas, Linda Carty would have been executed if a lawyer had not been fighting for years to get her a new trial. Michael Goldberg works for the oldest law firm in the United States. For 16 years, they have been handling Linda Carty's case pro bono. They spent more than $4 million trying to prove she did not receive a fair trial.
So then we have the whole, the interview that we've got for Chris. So this would have been the original police one, which became one of the biggest pieces of evidence we had in the June hearing.
Why is that?
Because this was the police report, the video of the key guy, the one who did it all, being interviewed by the police when he was first, and telling the story completely different than what he told at trial, and so this we never had.
Michael Goldberg's accusations are serious. He's trying to prove that prosecutors tampered with evidence and encouraged fake testimonies. As a result, Linda Carty was sentenced to death.
District attorneys that handled this case, they withheld evidence. The witnesses reported how they were bullied into saying certain things and not saying certain things. And when we started hearing this independently, the witnesses independently with the same story, it all came into focus. The jury was misled by the district attorneys, and there was no fair trial.
Why was the prosecution so relentless in seeking the death penalty? When considering the evidence, Linda Carty would have certainly been sentenced to life.
In Texas especially, to win elections, you have to be seen as being someone strong, and someone strong on crime is important. And so if you have a judge that lets criminals loose or criminals win, the opponents will come in and say, this judge is weak on crime, and they lose.
Was Linda Carty sentenced to death in order for the prosecutors to win elections?
Are the co-defendants on death row?
No, no. The ones that admitted doing this, the ones that admitted putting her in the trunk, the ones that admitted leaving her in the trunk for 8 hours in the Texas heat, they all struck deals. The DAs went to them and told them, you either testify this way or you'll get the death penalty.
The men got sentences ranging from 15 to 45 years in prison. Linda Carty continues to deny any involvement. Her only hope is to get a new trial. But all of her appeals have been systematically rejected. For 16 years, she has been on death row in Gatesville, a city lost in the countryside, surrounded by 6 prisons for women. Nearly 7,700 detainees are locked up here. Among them, 6 are on death row. We were granted permission to meet Linda Carty, with a strict agreement with her lawyer not to speak about her case. A 60-minute interview with a woman considered to be one of the most dangerous in the United States.
Hello. Hi. Hello, Linda. How are you?
I'm blessed, Sabrina.
Thank you for accepting to talk to us.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Describe to me, how's your life here?
Rough. There are moments, it's up and down. And it depends on the status of your appeal. Because you could be quite euphoric at sometimes, and then all of a sudden you could be in that valley, whenever your cases or your appeal is denied. Every time I talk about that, I want to cry. Because it's difficult shouldering. It's, for me in particular, if I had done the crime, I would have accepted my fate. But because I know that I'm not guilty, it's hard. It's hard dealing with it, and I try to put it on the back burner and not think about it, because I don't want to be another statistic for the mental health department. And I need to be able to stay strong so that in the process of having my investigators and my attorneys and my daughter and my friends helping me to clear my name, that I won't become a burden for anyone either for the rest of my life.
Are there times where you can't take it anymore?
I have a daughter that I really, really love. I truly love. And this place is enough of a burden for her. So for me to try to commit suicide or to give up or anything, I feel as though I would fail my child.
She's had kids?
She has 2 boys. I have 2 grandsons.
Have you ever met them?
I've met one, because we're not allowed to have visits with our kids. Because the state says that if you have a crime against a child, that you are not allowed to have the visits with even your own family, your family members who are kids. So no, I don't get to see them other than pictures and talking to them on the phone every 90 days.
Like all women on death row, Linda Carty has no physical contact with her family. Visits are always behind this bulletproof glass. These special inmates are separated from the rest of the prison population. They are in total isolation, locked in tiny cells. They are not allowed to have personal belongings or photos on the wall. Awakened every morning at 3 a.m., their lives revolve around meals and inspections every 2 hours. Alone 24 hours a day, they are waiting to be executed. These imprisonment conditions are deemed inhumane by the prisoners' families. A mental and emotional torture that also affects their children and grandchildren. Jovel Carty, Linda's daughter, tries her best to maintain family ties with her mom, whose life is on hold. It's a challenge to make her exist virtually to her children, to maintain a semblance of normality.
This isn't their first Christmas, but this is one of their Christmases. And of course, my mom gets copies of all of these photos. And we try to send as many as possible. The boys try to send as many cards as they possibly can. So they write letters. Try to keep in contact. Keep her updated on what's going on. Any kind of family gossip, anything like that.
Grandchildren who have never seen the grandmother that they hear about all the time, and who will one day learn the truth about her crime.
I usually have my mom's with the newest announcement here, so anything that's new at school or anything like that, my mom's picture will be the one that's got the newest announcement next to it.
That's a way for her not to be forgotten?
Yes. She's always included.
And do the kids ask about her?
All the time. All the time. Mother's Day was always pretty difficult at our house.
When they ask questions, what kind of questions would they ask?
It's the normal questions, you know, how's Nana doing? When was the last time you talked to Nana? When are we gonna be able to go see Nana? You know? How come we can't go? And the best we can do is to just explain it to them. These are the rules that they have set up, and we can't change their rules.
Jovel only has one picture of her mother, taken by a guard from the other side of the visiting room, with a jacket to hide her prisoner's clothes. She is always alone. Contact with other death row prisoners is not allowed.
She's in a cell all day long, 23 hours of the day, nonstop. And the 1 hour that she gets to come out of this cell where she is all by herself, she still doesn't get to have interaction with everyone else. She's still by herself. Tell me that is not punishment. Tell me that is not enough punishment.
And how does that make you feel?
I'm worried about, is she gonna be sane? Because how long can you maintain being by yourself for year after year after year with no one to talk to? Where does your sanity go?
Not surprisingly, many who are condemned to death sink into madness long before being executed. Arivaca, Arizona. A place in the middle of the desert, close to the Mexican border. This community of only 30,000 people is a mixture of newcomers, trappers, and vigilante groups who try to prevent migrants crossing the border. One militia was responsible for the biggest slaughter in the region. Led by 42-year-old Shawna Forde, now sentenced to death for executing a Mexican family who she suspected of trafficking drugs. Her friend Lane Lawless has also dedicated her life to stop illegal immigrants from entering the United States.
If you're going to go to a place where there's a lot of trafficking and stuff going on, you're probably going to take something like an AK-47 or an AR-15. You really shouldn't go out to places where there's drug smugglers and not carry a long gun of any kind. You need something.
Shawna Forde's organization was a nationalist militia, which claimed to fight cartels at the border. Shawna Forde was an early activist, a regular on the media and television. She liked to praise the merits of her militant actions. She knew Arivaca like the back of her hand.
This is an extremely dangerous area. Matter of fact, so dangerous that I'm refusing to bring the reporters in because I don't have enough arsenal. I have one gun on me and 3 people, and I'm not going to be responsible for life. We're not getting people, scientists and lawyers and doctors here, okay? We're getting the poor of the poor.
We know what we need to do to secure these borders. We know what we need to do to secure the sovereignty of this nation. And that's what we're going to do. And we will win this war. This is Shawna Forde, Minutemen, American Defense.
Lane Lawless, like other militia members, doesn't believe Shawna Forde is a murderer. She thinks she was settling scores between opposing cartels, and that she was the scapegoat for the murders.
This is the house where the Arivaca massacre happened. At about 12:45 a.m. on a Friday night, several intruders burst into that house. They were supposedly pretending to be Border Patrol and were dressed as Border Patrol. And they shot the husband, they shot the wife, and they shot the 9-year-old daughter. The wife survived. She was not shot in the head like the daughter and the husband were. Shawna Forde was never positively identified by the surviving witness. So there were definitely 2 men there and 1 woman, and there were additional parties as well. She didn't know if there were, she said there might have been 4 or 5 people there, but she couldn't describe them.
Brisenia Flores, 9, and her father, Raul Flores, died on the spot with a bullet in the head. The only survivor of the massacre, Gina Gonzalez, Brisenia's mother. Shot in the leg, she pretended to be dead during the shooting before calling for help.
911, where's your emergency?
Ma'am, somebody just came in and shot my daughter and my husband.
They shot them? And where were they shot?
In the head. In the head.
Are they still there, the people who are there that shot them?
They're coming back in. They're coming back in.
While Gina Gonzalez was on the phone, the assailants who heard her came back inside the house to eliminate the only survivor. To defend herself, Gina Gonzalez picked up her husband's weapon and started firing. A man was injured in the leg. You can clearly hear the voice of a woman on the recording. A voice that could belong to Shawna Forde.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Let me know.
Are you okay? How many people were there?
I don't know, ma'am.
And did it sound like males were talking?
There was a male and there was a shorter, fat woman.
Okay, now the woman, what did she look like? Was she a Hispanic female?
No, she was a white, short woman.
Okay.
A few hours later, Shawna Forde was arrested with 2 accomplices.
Breaking news just coming into our News 4 newsroom. 3 people have been arrested in connection with a deadly home invasion.
After a highly publicized trial, Shawna Forde was sentenced to death for the double homicide. Despite the fact that Gina Gonzalez, the only survivor, was never able to formally identify her, nor to say exactly how many killers were in the house. Chris Ackerley, Shawna Forde's lawyer, believed there is no evidence that his client was present at the scene of the crime. In addition, he found photos on the phone of one of the witnesses, which he claims prove Shawna Forde's innocence. We see a mysterious woman carrying a weapon similar to the one found at the scene of the crime. This woman's identity is still unknown today.
In the first place, Gina Gonzalez, she wasn't certain if it was 1 woman in her house or 2 women, because the woman who was initially there went outside And a few minutes later, a woman came in who was dressed completely differently and had her hair done completely differently. And she identified her as being a heavyset, short woman with blondish brown hair. Now, we can prove that these photographs were taken the night before the Flores homicides occurred. The jury never saw these photographs. Looks to me like a short, heavyset woman with blondish brown hair. That is not Shawna Forde. We don't know who it is. There is a shotgun there and a Rossi .357 caliber revolver. Now, 20 minutes after the homicides occurred, this weapon was found in the Flores front yard. This is also a Rossi .357 handgun with finger indentations. I believe that Shawna Forde was not present when these homicides occurred. She was not present at the Flores home. She simply wasn't there.
This is also what Shawna Forde has been claiming since she was arrested. We requested an interview, but death row inmates are not allowed interviews in Arizona. After months of waiting, we were finally granted permission to talk to her on the phone.
We have an appointment at 10 o'clock for an interview.
Yes?
Here, I'll put her on the line.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Hello? Is this Shawna?
Hi.
Hi, Shawna. This is
Hi.
Sabrina. How are you doing?
Oh, surviving. I believe that we have shown enough evidence and shown enough in the appeal that we now have filed that an overturn, I think, is expected at some point. If it's not going to be on a state level, then maybe on a federal level. It's very tough to get off death row, though. But I think what has offended me is, how do you put me on death row as, say, accomplice, and it doesn't matter if I'm at the scene of the crime or not, because I probably green-lighted it or was a part of masterminding it. How do you send one person to death row and you send another 20 to general population or more that committed even more outrageous crimes? I think the justice system is extremely, extremely broken. And I see a lot of women here, lifers, that probably should have never been found guilty. And so it's not just myself. It's just the whole justice system.
Was there times where you just wanted to end it?
Sure. There's many, many times over several years that you just wish you don't wake up again. Just let me die. It's hard to find the value for yourself when, you have no human contact. So when anybody gets convicted of something so outrageous, you're going to automatically, move away from that person as fast as possible because you don't want to be associated. And there's just been so many lies, Sabrina, and so much misreporting that you just have to look the other way and develop a tough skin and let it go. Life is not precious when you're in hell, so.
Do we have to wrap this up now?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Sabrina. Good luck on that.
Thank you. Good luck to you, too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Like many women on death row, Shawna Forde no longer has contact with her family. Her brothers and sisters want nothing to do with her, and even her own mother testified against her at her trial. In 6 years, she has not had one single visit from her family. The only one who continues to write to her is her daughter, Jasmine. She was 17 years old when her mother was sentenced to death. Convinced of her innocence, this nightmare haunts her day and night. After being harassed, she had to change her name and move out of state. Do you often think of your mother?
All the time. There's not a day that goes by I don't think about her. I wish I had a magical time machine that I can go back in time and tie her up and put her in my closet. That none of this would have happened. That she wouldn't have ended up over there when she got framed for what she did. I was a kid that had a pretty decent life to nothing, to lower than nothing.
You were 17 at the time you were a student. What happened to that?
I dropped out. My family turned their back on me. I lived in a tent in the middle of wintertime just to survive. People emailed me and said that my family should be extinct. They said that it was my fault, that I shouldn't be here, that I should be dead. I hated America. I still do. And I love my country, but I hate the people.
Do you sometimes fear the phone call that would tell you that your mom might be executed?
Yes. But if it comes to that, I want to be there. I want her last look to be at my face. Not the people around her that want her dead. The person that wants her there. One last happy thought. Even if it might damage me for the rest of my life, I'm willing to take that risk.
Her mother's execution seems inevitable. Unless she can finally have a new trial. In the United States, very few women on death row manage to prove their innocence. Lawyers can fight until the last minute, but they are almost never able to overturn a decision. Since 1976, only 6 women have been released. We met one of them in Nashville, Tennessee. Michelle Byrom spent 14 years on death row. Convicted for plotting the murder of her husband who beat her, she was released 2 years ago. Today, she lives in a home for battered women. This shelter is the only place that would accept this 59-year-old woman who is poor and seriously ill.
How are you?
After breast cancer contracted in prison and several pneumonias, she underwent a double mastectomy and now lives with respiratory assistance.
And what did they say yesterday?
Everything's good. There's no cancer in the bones.
Good.
It's wonderful. They had me scared there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go, do some traveling and everything, but right now, the thing is about saving money and putting it away, and this place is helping me do that. If it wasn't for this place, I'd be living under a bridge.
Well, you have had a lot of firsts here. You got your first cell phone.
Yes, my very first cell phone.
First cell phone. We got to be part of the first text and phone calls. That was fun.
Yes.
Now you're a pro at it.
Yes. I'm teaching myself computer.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Byrom receives a retirement pension of $600 a month. In less than a year, she'll be forced to leave the home and will be on her own. She will have to start all over again, with no compensation from the state.
How much did you get after being wrongfully convicted?
Nothing. I didn't even get the money that you're supposed to get when you leave prison. I didn't even get that. I didn't get a dime.
And you have family that can take care of you now?
No.
So now you're on your own?
And so I'm completely on my own. I've come through too many obstacles to let it get me down. So.
What Michelle Byrom went through is inconceivable. After 14 years on death row, she was suddenly released. Just a few hours before being executed.
A woman convicted of killing her husband was not executed today. The state Supreme Court wants more time to review the case.
Michelle Byrom learned about her release in a surprising way.
Another little girl on death row was next door to me. She said, you're not going to be executed, you're free. And I said, oh, you know, I've heard that so many times. No, she said, it's on the news. So I turned on the news, and they said, Michelle Byrom, who's fixing to be executed in 8 hours, her sentence was overturned.
Michelle Byrom has always claimed her innocence. Her own son, also charged, has always insisted that he murdered his father. For 14 years, he wrote her letters where he clearly admitted to the murder.
Mom, I'm going to tell you who killed Dad. I did. And it wasn't for the money. It was for the abuse.
Letters that were never taken into account by the court. This evidence should have cleared Michelle Byrom's name and allow her to receive a large financial compensation.
Everybody was going, go for your new trial, go for your new trial. But then I found out that at the last minute, there wasn't going to be a trial. That's what I couldn't understand. Why all of a sudden everybody turned against it.
And what did they wanted you to do then?
They said, take the plea, take the no contest, take no contest. And then a month later, I figured out why they wanted me to take no contest, because I had cancer. I found out a month after I was finally released that I had late third-stage breast cancer. And they said that I've had it for years at the stage it was in. And they had taken a mammogram at the prison, so they knew I had it.
What does it mean for you to plead no contest?
It's to save their face so they don't get sued. And they don't have to pay anything.
The state should have paid for Michelle Byrom's medical expenses. But by signing the no contest agreement, she gave up her rights. Although free, in the eyes of the law, she is not pardoned. She remains guilty. Consequently, she will never be able to sue the state or obtain any compensation for her damages.
They took my life. They're taking my life to this day. My life is still being taken away from me. My pleasure has been taken away from me. My hopes have been taken away from me. I mean, they didn't so much as even apologize.
A wasted life and a deep sense of injustice. This is also what a judge of the Mississippi Supreme Court thought. Oliver Diaz was one of 7 judges who re-examined Michelle Byrom's appeal proceedings. He believed from the start that her guilt was unfounded and that she needed to be released.
In the Michelle Byrom case, while I was on the court in 2003, the majority of the judges voted to keep her conviction in place and keep her on death row, even though I had written an opinion urging the rest of my fellow judges to overturn that conviction because I thought there were problems and I thought it should be overturned. She remained in prison and stayed there for, I think, another 11 years or so after I wrote my opinion.
Oliver Diaz, now retired, has never forgotten Michelle Byrom's case, which remains his greatest regret. Since then, he's made a point of speaking in the media about the unfairness of the death penalty. A 2-tier system where the poorest are condemned in advance.
Rich people generally don't go to death row. Poor people do. I mean, if you've got the resources, if you're wealthy, if you're rich, if you've got your own private attorneys and you can hire investigators and you have witnesses, you're not going to go to death row. It's the poor people that can't fight back, that don't have the resources. If you don't have those resources, the chances of you being convicted go up dramatically at that point.
Once a sentence is pronounced, it is almost impossible to reverse it.
Once somebody's convicted, once there's a conviction in place, the state very rarely ever backs off. I mean, they will proceed as though you are completely guilty from that point on. The state will not back off. It's sort of like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator movie. He's not going to stop until it's over. I've seen cases where prosecutors have, there's newly discovered DNA in a case which will tell you who should have been convicted, and prosecutors will fight that. They don't want this DNA tested because they already have a conviction in place. Why risk overturning that conviction?
Technically today, for the state of Mississippi, Michelle Byrom is still guilty?
Technically, she is guilty. But in exchange, the state has said she's served all the time that she needs to serve.
But that means that she can't sue.
That's correct.
So how much money would she have been entitled to had she sued?
I think it's about $100,000 a year for each year that you wrongfully serve, something around there.
So she would be getting...
somewhere over $1 million probably. She'd served over 10 years on death row.
More than $1 million, not counting medical expenses. But how can you defend yourself when you're poor, sick, and about to be executed? During our investigation, we were able to verify the statements of this former Supreme Court judge. Virtually all women on death row are indeed poor, had a public defender, and a speedy trial. In Texas, another case caught our attention. That of a woman accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter. Melissa Lucio was 40 when she was convicted to death in 2008. The media barely covered the story. The case of a poor, drug-addicted Hispanic woman, mother of 13 children, generated no interest. Her sister and her daughter-in-law refused to believe that Melissa would have hurt Mariah. For them, it was an accident caused by a fall.
We went to see the body before they brought her out. I mean, we had that in our head, what happened to this baby? They said she had trauma. She had trauma to the head. And she had a broken arm, I believe. But that could have been from the fall.
That's the only one I have.
And how old was she there?
About 1.5 years old. I don't believe it was Melissa that did it. I don't. There was a house full of children. Small kids. I don't know. I honestly don't believe it was her.
Melissa had no mean bone in her body. She never disciplined these kids. I remember her yelling, but Melissa to spank her kids, no. No, Melissa never spanked. I wish she would have. Look at all these kids. They've been through a lot. Richard tried to hang himself. He tried to hang himself.
Do you think that's because of what happened
They
to
wanted
his
their
mother?
mom. Wanted their mom. And imagine going from foster care to foster care in somebody else's bed. You need your mom. My sister was a good mother.
Following the arrest of Melissa Lucio, the family was broken apart, and the children were placed in homes all over Texas. They have never seen their mother again.
I don't know why my sister's sitting on death row, a danger to society, having 13 children. That just doesn't make any sense at all. If anybody that sat through that trial knows that my sister's trial was a circus, it was just awful. She stood no chance. She stood no chance. We tried, we went everywhere, pro bono. Everybody, 150 to start, 150,000 to start. Where do we come up with that money? We could sell everything and we still don't have that money.
Do you feel that her attorneys were fit for the trial?
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Sonia, Melissa Lucio's sister, believes that the lawyers assigned to the case botched the trial. They never interrogated her family or any of her children.
This is right here. This is where she lived.
Nor did they investigate an accident that Mariah suffered 2 days before the tragedy.
Oh my God.
A fall down the stairs, which could have been the cause of her head trauma.
So from here, they were moving, and in between that time, that's when that accident happened. So to me, my sister's moving stuff, sofas, and whatever she had. Where would she have time to abuse Mariah? The younger boys are the ones that stated that Mariah fell. I don't even think Melissa saw when she fell. The kids, it was just coming from the smaller children that Mariah had fallen down the stairs. 13 stairs down. A baby. She didn't know how to roll or protect herself. And she could have been hitting her head as she was falling down and then hit her last, where they said she had a concussion to the head. There's bricks right there.
This accident, which was witnessed by Melissa Lucio's sons, was never taken into account by the court, even though they had told this to the police when their mother was arrested. Despite the evidence that was never taken into account, Melissa Lucio's state appeals have all failed. Her last hope is to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Meanwhile, she's on Gatesville's death row, with slim chances of escaping execution. This is the first time she's been interviewed about this crime. She has always maintained her innocence.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for accepting to talk to me.
You're welcome.
So tell me, how long have you been here in Texas?
On death row, I've been here going on 9 years. On August 12th will be 9 years.
Did you ever think that something like this would happen to you?
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Do you feel that you stood a chance when the trial happened?
Oh, no.
Why is that?
Because I think when the jury walked in and they saw these pictures of my daughter, I'm sure they agreed with what the district attorney was, trying to convince them that I was guilty. So I think they came in already thinking that they were gonna accuse me and find me guilty of, murdering my daughter.
And how many of your appeals have been denied?
Ooh. I have one appeal left, so that means my last appeal will go into the U.S. Supreme Court. So that'll be my last resort. And if I get denied there, then I get an execution date.
Are you scared?
I wouldn't say I'm scared. I just feel for my children. Not being able to say goodbye to them if this does happen.
What's your biggest regret?
Ooh, I'm not being the mother that I should have been to my children. Being a drug addict. Putting my drugs before my children. I think that's my biggest regret. Everybody, they hear about death row and they want to, put a tag on us and think that we're the worst of the worst, and we're not. Some of us did lead awful lives out there, but we're not the person that they're accusing us of being. And if there are some women on death row that are guilty of their charge, you know, something was going on with them out there in the world that led them to do what they did. But nobody shouldn't judge anybody because everybody sins every day. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes.
A statement that could be her last words.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Melissa Lucio is the next woman on the list of those to be executed in Texas.
Also, if you'll just go down there and she'll get that microphone.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Only the Supreme Court can save her now. In Harlingen, in South Texas, her family is also preparing for the worst. When they meet, they remember happy times, as if to ward off the misfortune. Times when Melissa Lucio danced to her brother's music.
Hey. That was one of Melissa's favorite. That was the Hometown Boys.
Yes.
Does that make you think of her when you play that
Yeah,
song?
of course. Growing up, you know, she was kind of like my second mom. When my mom didn't want me, I would go with her. It made her out to be like a monster, which is not true whatsoever. Yeah, she had her flaws. You know, she had her flaws. She had her addictions or whatever, but you know, it wasn't enough to be a murderer.
Are you in touch with your sister?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I'm just scared. It's depressing. I try not to think about it because, like I said, how can I be happy? How can I have a life? And she doesn't. I have a lot of letters that my mom gives me. I don't open them.
Are you scared that she's going to be executed soon?
Huh? Yes, and then we don't see her.
That's why I don't want to read her letters, because I'm scared to read them. They're still sealed. They're not open.
My mom says she doesn't want to go and see her like that. But there's no hope for her. At least I don't think so.
If she was executed in the near future, would you go?
Yeah, I would go. Why wouldn't I go? I don't know if my sisters would go, but I would go. Yeah.
For the families of those on death row, it's torture, an unbearable weight, and often incomprehensible punishment. Whether these women are guilty or innocent.